Morning everybody. I got a lot of parts out here in the garage I'm going to be throwing out here in a little bit. But before I do that, I wanted to go through and show you guys just how many different items that I had to go through to get this car running right. This forums here have been an amazing resource for getting this car to run the way that it does. It runs top notch now. It passed in emissions about a month or so ago, and it just drives like a dream. It's been really nice, and I want to thank you guys for helping me out with that. Still got some other minor things, but basically I'm going to go through and address those. But for the most part, you can see I just got back from the beach earlier today. But so anyway, let's get started. I'm not going to do this in any particular order. I just kind of gonna shoot from the hip here and see what goes on with it. First thing I found when I was going to pull over the trash can and start throwing the stuff out, the shocks. These things are completely blown out. I mean, look, I don't know, they're just like stuck. I'm holding it in midair, that should be pushing down. I found a set of Gabriel shocks in here. These things were pretty well useless. I put in some Monroe Sensitrack ones, and honestly, they work really well. They're not like a track shock absorber by any means, but for daily driving, they're really nice and feel really comfortable. Let's see what else we got here. There's the Excel box. I had upgraded the ignition coil, set of E3 spark plugs down there. ATF, that's from another car I was working on. Let's see, there's where is that box? I think it might be that one, but I put a O2 sensor in for the air fuel gauge I installed in the car. But I was going through emissions troubles when I was trying to get the car figured out. Now that thing I'll show you in another video if somebody wants. The location for that, it doesn't really read accurate. It reads, but I'll show you in another video. It reads differently from what you expect, and you just kind of got to use common sense on it later. So let's keep going. Oh, this was pretty impressive actually. This is the converter, or what's left of it anyway. Whoever, I don't know if somebody punched this out or burned out, but it is completely empty. There's absolutely not one speck of honeycomb in it. It's essentially a pipe. There's nothing left of this. So, I don't know if they scraped the platinum out of it. They could have. So anyway, those go in the trash. These horns. Might actually hold on to these, but I'm going to throw them away here in a little bit if somebody doesn't tell them they want to keep them, because some people like to keep them the original. Alright, so I'm going to set those aside for now. The pump is a pretty beat. You can get these pretty cheap at an auto parts store. This one here, it sounded like a sick horse when I had it hooked up to my car. I basically just put a modern electric horn in my car. These I'll probably keep. These are good. One thing I noticed is just for some reason there's some cars has, I don't know if you can see it on here, there's a wider difference in the contact point of the ignition rotor on those ones. So somebody tried to do a bit of tuning themselves in there, so I kind of kept on them. Headlight bulbs. Now, somebody tried to do some electrical work on this thing before, and in the front left here, they connected, see the outside side marker light? They had that hooked up and it was blinking when I first got it, and I honestly thought that's the way it was, and I drove for about a month before I realized that wasn't the right way it's supposed to be doing it. So there had some issues with some bulbs that I went through and replaced them all. The back lights were all over the place because they were wired wrong in the front, but they all work good now. So So it's always good to have some extra bulbs. I'm gonna keep those. Chuck that. Chuck that. Here's another ignition rotor. It's probably about $30–40 in ignition rotors right there. Chuck these. This was a hose that goes from behind the intake to the front of the rubber part of the intake. The bypasses the throttle body, and what that does, it allows the air for the warm-up injector to get the oxygen it needs to bypass the throttle body. Oh, these are the bulbs that I pulled out of the car. Obviously this one here is not even supposed to be in there. It still kind of works, so I'll hold on to it as a spare, I guess. I don't think any of these are really bad. I wanted to go through and make sure I had the proper voltage and everything, so to have extra bulbs isn't necessarily a bad thing, so I'm going to hold on to these. What else we got here? Fuses. Fuses. You got any old fuses in the car? Grab some new ones. Even if they're good, I would go through and replace all of them, because I had an instance with the radio, believe it or not, that I thought this radio was shot. This is a perfectly good Kenwood sounding radio. The only thing I didn't like about it was, it has CD. I got a new radio in the car that takes a chip. I thought the radio blew because when I was wiring in the gauge, I thought that the wire had blown out the radio by mistake, and so that's actually why I went out and bought the other one. But it ended up being a fuse that was so worn down, it was just not working. I kind of tapped the fuse and it worked, so I went through and replaced the fuses. Old spark plugs. These are extra parts that came with the shocks. The timing belt pulley. One thing that drove me nuts about this car, not this particular car, but I guess the design of it, is it didn't have a self-adjuster for the timing belt. So that one had to be manually adjusted with the tensioner, and I wasn't exactly sure if I wanted to throw that out or not. But I had to put a new timing belt in the car because the other one snapped. The new one came with a set. I don't know where the box is, but it's around here somewhere. But that's the old one, the original tensioner, and I'm going to keep that for a spare. There's a clock where I put the into the air fuel mixture. Alright, I'm back. Let's see. Ignition cap. This is actually pretty clean. I've seen a lot worse ones. I don't know if you can see this, but there's very little rust in there. It's basically, you get some decent sandpaper, you can clean that up. I'm going to keep that. Wire sets. Oh, you're going to love this. This little bugger here caused a dramatic misfire. Now, if anybody has any kind of misfires that they want to try and diagnose, take a look near the heater plate, or the heater, the heat shield off the exhaust, because these wires will rub up against the heat shield there and cut into it, and especially being that it's hot, it can cause some severe damage. Now, if you ever go to replace your wires, I would keep some of the wires that test alright. Actually, this one didn't test right. I'm going to throw this one out. Got the airport going again. It's a busy day. Vacuum hoses. I rearranged the vacuum hoses in the car. The factory ones, they didn't route them right. I think they just kind of got lazy. I'm not exactly sure. Some wiring harness stuff. More junk. Coolant temperature sensor. A radiator, yeah, so this plugged into the radiator. I'm not sure if this is good or not. I'm gonna hang on to this till I figured it out. One thing I realized quickly in this car is parts are expensive. And anybody who owns one of these for any length of time, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Spark plugs. More plugs, more wires. What do we got here? These, I think, are the original ones that came with the car. Those E3s look pretty good. I don't know, I'm gonna chuck these. I really could care less about them. It'd be cheap. And they're not even bad either. But I'm just gonna clean them all out. Fuel injectors. Yeah, the car had been sitting for 10 years, and basically I had to go through and clean the entire system out. For all the way, it had bad gas in it, it was sitting for a while, had varnished. I even had to pull out the plunger in the fuel system and the fuel distributor, the center plunger out, and wet sand it down with transmission fluid because it was sticking. Another plane coming in here. So I went through and cleaned that out. I had some issues with some fuel lines, which one of them is actually right here. This one here broke off. And I imagine somebody could probably solder this and make a new one, but I'm not exactly sure. I think I kept this one because I think if in a pinch I could throw a compression fitting on it, but I don't know. Junk it. Radiator cap. The radiator cap, this one, it's stuck. It wasn't doing its job. It was supposed to vent excess pressure out on a really hot day, and in the summer down here when it was hitting like 110, I was driving this thing, which I probably shouldn't have done. It wasn't releasing the pressure, so you know, of course, turn off the car, back pressure comes out and pisses all over the place. Somehow I ended up with an extra brake fluid cap. And I add into this. Those are probably hard as hell to find. This here was part of the radio. I'm not exactly sure what it did, but it didn't really do anything because there's an aftermarket radio installed in there. Extra bolts of some sort. Always keep extra bolts. Extra water housing. This I got in preparation because I was going to change the timing belt. I don't know if you can see it right, but the timing bolt goes to that pulley over here. Actually, it sits something like this. And I was afraid that this being aluminum and the bolt being high iron or whatever it's made out of, steel, it was going to break the aluminum housing. So I ordered an extra aluminum housing just in case it broke. I'm going to hang on to this as well. So our parts pile is slowly going away. I don't remember exactly what this was. If I had to guess, it's probably a coolant hose. This thing here, not even sure what it is too, but I'm going to go inside and check the number out on the internet. Ooh, this looks like nothing, but this is actually the ground from the battery to the car. It was so brittle that honestly it felt like I was cutting a piece of cheese with the wire cutters. It feels fine, but when I cut it, it just honestly, it wouldn't hold with anything. And for the longest time, when I started the battery, I actually got smoke off the damn car because it was overloading the small amount of way for the current to go through. So what I got in there now is actually I believe it's like a 4-gauge wire that connects right to the block of the car or the intake of the engine. So I did it to one to there, and I think I also did a shorter one where that one was to the body. So I got one to the body and one to the block of the car. So that works pretty well. Apparently I got the noisiest neighbors in the world today. Extra wire. always have a need for wire, so I'm gonna hold on to that. More wire. And hang on to that. I think I'm hanging on to more stuff than I'm throwing away. Ah, fuel filter. This was a problem. So this is the one I got in the car, and it was upside down when I got it, and I couldn't figure out why it was installed backwards until I realized, this being such a new car, this was technically built in '76, but it's got a '77 title. The problem is with the '77 car is, if it was built in the '76, there's a changeover in March, and one of the things that they did was, for whatever reason, they changed the fuel filter. Now, if you see a '76 with a fuel filter upside down like this, that means the guy's got he's got the wrong filter for the car. There's a way that I found out later which one it is, and if somebody needs the number, just email me and I'll let you know. But it's got to be mounted like this. And there's that still on the bottom, and it still looks identical, but the problem was the threads are different. That bigger size there should be on this side. That's why it's wrong. So I'm sure this is perfectly, that's probably a used filter. This is the original one that came in the car. This, I believe, is a brand new one. I gotta take these fittings off of there because I think those are actually still good. The new one I got on it now actually came with some. Here's a piece that busted off that line. I'm actually gonna keep that because I got to take that apart and throw away the bad piece. But it's always good to have a little extra odds and ends, things like that laying around. Oh, I believe these are from the distributor. I really kept a lot of stuff. Too much stuff, actually. Some wheel weights. God knows how old those are. Some other junk. Oh, another injector box. I'm going to replace all of them. Throw these out. Another. Ooh, it's part of the fuse box. I'm going to keep that. Another wire, an ignition wire. Another ignition wire. Those things are like $60 for a set, so if you're just doing it for tune-up, I would keep the old set just in case you ever burn one out against the exhaust manifold. There's a new radio I put in. Alright, I ran out of time on the other one, but the only thing you missed really was the Gates belt here. That timing belt that I had to replace. More spark plugs. Make sure you get the right gap on those. Anything else? Those are the glass jars I got a while back. I wanted to check the proper flow rate for the car with the injectors. That's how I knew they were bad. I went and got the other ones. Now your bleed kit. It's not really a part, but that's helped me try to figure out why the vacuum actuator on the Advance wasn't working for the distributor. I'll just keep going here, I guess. Some gear oil, not the beer can, no one there. Oh yeah, here's the Magnaflow box that I used. There's the part number. If anybody wants one for their car, it's pretty good. I got this one fairly cheap. I think it was like $60, and it passed. It was actually so clean when I got it that the guy actually had to dial back up. I had to make it a little richer to get the knocks down, but it sounds awesome. It doesn't sound anything like a lot of annoying Honda or anything. You know, not that there's anything wrong with Hondas, but oh, this is pretty cool. I don't know if anybody's ever seen one of these. This is a box I found in the car. I wish I knew what that said, but it's definitely original with the car. When I opened it up, I found one of these, and if anybody knows what that is, bonus points. But yeah, I couldn't believe I found an extra one of those. Those things are like Like, you can't even find those anywhere. That's how rare those are. With the extra fuses. Oh wow, that's pretty cool. It actually has a fuse puller. And a couple extra fuse boxes and stuff, some panel stuff. Some sort of razor blade, nuts, bolts. I have to go through that. I wouldn't use those fuses though, those things are fairly inexpensive, but punch corporation, call it to us. I don't know. It's pretty cool, and it fits in there perfectly, so. Here's another one here. Another injector box. I'll throw that out. There's the fourth jar. Actually, still has some gas in there. Oh, here's the old injectors. These seals are actually good. I'm gonna have to keep these. They were only installed in the car like maybe a week or two. But yeah, these are the old injectors. And if anybody wants to know, this is VW Audi. If I can find the number here. 049133551. That's the VW Audi number. And then the Porsche number is 0437502015. That's 0437502015. And these things are shot. So I'm just going to throw these out. Actually, I'll hold on to these. If somebody wants these and can get these cleaned out, and if they want them, let me know. I'm only going to hold on to them for a little bit. The same with any of the other parts from earlier. Try and get in touch with me the next couple days if you want them. I know those things, they're only like 30-40 bucks at the auto parts store, but for a set of all of them, I know they're clogged up. The filters inside of them have the gas varnish. There's the E3 box. But if somebody wants them, just let me know. What's this? Oh, that's the horn I got. Box fruit. Oh, bearings. That I never actually put in yet because they weren't really bad. I just bought them for extra, just in case. Sometimes I do that because the previous car I had, there's so many things that I couldn't find for it that just were a problem. The vacuum actuator, why you may ask, that is not in the car. Honestly, I think it's a complete waste of product there. There's some benefits for it, but honestly, I think there was some kind of new technology that they were just kind of testing out. If you rewire the vacuum to the other side of like the intake off the throttle body and whatnot, it still works. So I think that was something that they just kind of were fumbling around with. I think more or less that was for the air conditioning system, but I have to double check on that. Somehow I ended up with an extra ignition box. That I'm definitely going to hold on to. This one actually was in the car when I bought it, but there was a brand new silver one inside that box when I opened it up, and I found that in the trunk in the hidden compartment down in here, right down in this area, and I was just stunned. That was this is kind of cool. This wire set came out of a, I'm going to hold on to that too. That actually was a random wire set I bought that I needed to make the connection for the new ignition coil to mount up to the factory, what is it there, the distributor cap, because the wire connections were off and different. Another parts that came with the front shocks. I think that's really pretty much it. I replaced the belt. This was actually never even used. I might actually hold on to that. I mean, it's probably dry rotted out and no good, but this is actually found in the underneath the hood You know what? I'm just gonna throw it out. I'm pretty sure there's a reason why I didn't use it when I replaced it before. You know, I think. Thinking. That's about it. There's some extra spark plugs. The whole ignition. Oh, this is why you can never tune your car yourself to get it past the smog. Let me bring this out to the light. These plugs were brand new, and these were only in the car for a couple weeks. It was running so rich that it was practically blowing oil right through the thing. I'm not saying it actually burned oil, but that's pretty black. That's from the carbon buildup from the gas. So these I know I can throw away. Those E3s work pretty well. I haven't had a problem with those. I actually noticed some better gas mileage with them too. I mean, probably maybe an extra mile or two. I've been trying to keep track of the mileage best I can, but you know, at this point it might be kind of a guess, but I just feel like I'm getting a little extra. Oh, this is actually a little piece that came from the exhaust and took it apart. Here's the box from the timing belt. This is from the muffler. I gotta fix that yet. It's walled down there pretty tight, so it ain't gonna go anywhere. Oh, there's a project I can do. I gotta change the bulb. Pretty sure that goes in the gauge, but I'll have to take a look at it. Anything else? That's really about it. Of course, I said that last time. Alright, well, those are all the parts that I had to replace to get this thing in running condition. Oh, here's another thing too. If you ever actually have to buy a timing light for this car, make sure you get the one with the advance on it. Any car that has an advance, you gotta make sure that. Hold on a second.